Fifth APEC security meeting underway in Port Moresby. Bleak future for iconic Ela Beach trees. And only cancer treatment center still in need of an oncologist.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Thursday's news. Border security, accommodation for visiting APEC delegates and meeting dates were amongst the issues discussed during a security planning meeting today. This is the fifth meeting held to discuss security planning and coordination amongst the country's three disciplinary forces. Tekla Gunga with this report.
It was a high-level security discussion that involved members of the three disciplinary forces and their counterparts from Australia and New Zealand. The Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary is leading the security operations for APEC 2018. So far, a joint task force team has been formed, which involved all law enforcing agencies. The task force team is dedicated to ensuring that Papua New Guinea delivers a safe and secure APEC.
The whole idea is to invite our friends to come and support us host 2018 APEC.
Deputy Police Commissioner in charge of operations, Jim Andrews, said our PNGC is confident in coordinating security operations for APEC. Andrews is grateful for the support the Australian Police and Defence Forces are providing in tactical preparations for APEC.
Aim that we will have to achieve that because we have already conducted major operations in the Pacific Games in 2015, FIFA World Cup for the women last year, and also the APEC ACP Leader Summit in Port Moresby. So we have done that.
PNG has also invited the United States Marines to assist the PNGDF military police in terms of handling non-lethal weapons, motorcade tactics and ground mounts.
Australia is delighted to be working with Papua New Guinea on such an important event. APEC is one of the biggest meetings and one of the biggest series of meetings that is held anywhere in the world every year. And no country, whether they're the United States, whether they're Australia, whether they're Papua New Guinea, can host this without assistance from other and the help of other economies. So
more of such meetings are expected to be conducted in the coming months. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, construction on the 45 million kina sea park at Ela Beach in Port Moresby is facing a minor setback. The construction, which began last month, has slowed down because authorities were deciding whether or not to remove the iconic trees at Ela Beach. A total of 250 trees and shrubs will be removed to make way for the sea park. Governor Pakop only hopes that city residents will understand and not protest the removal of the trees.
The construction of the new sea park at Ela Beach will begin next week. This was announced by Powers Pakop today. Unfortunately, he also announced that the Casuarina trees that were planted here for almost 50 years will be cut down to make way for the new sea park.
Some of those trees have to go. There's no other way. We cannot redevelop the beach, extend it and build another two-lane roads without touching some of the trees, the Casuarina especially. I know our people have a lot of attachment to it. It is historical.
Governor Pakop said that after consulting an Australian agency on the trees, it was inevitable that they would be removed. Pakop was confident that the sea park would be ready before APEC 2018.
The beach, and with the development at the western end, what used to be the sea park before, with the APEC house being built there, surely the beach will be completely new. It will be a transformed beach. It will be much better facilities for everyone than it has been up to now. So the city residents should be looking forward to that.
Along with the Sea Park, the APEC meeting hall is now under construction, and Minister for APEC, Justin Tachenko, said that the APEC meeting hall will become the iconic building in Papua New Guinea.
It will be a tourist attraction, an attraction for Papua New Guineans, as well as overseas people to enjoy and also to come and see. Because with the beach, an APEC house is like the Opera House for Sydney. APEC House will be the pinnacle for Port Moresby.
Iconic.
Very iconic, and also when you see APEC House, you'll recognise it that that's Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. So it's all part of a bigger picture.
Governor Parkop said that the Sea Park, along with the APEC House, will become a cultural, economic and social hub for Port Moresby. Adelaide Sirox-Kari, National EMTV News.
The PNG government, through the Climate Change and Development Authority and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, have agreed to implement a project for enhancing capacity to develop a sustainable national greenhouse gas inventory for PNG. The official minutes of meeting were signed today to mark the agreement to finalize the framework of the project. The 4-year term project is set to begin in August 2017 and end in 2021. The Climate Change and Development Authority is conducting the greenhouse gas inventory for the government to estimate the greenhouse gas emissions of the country in the different sectors. These include the energy sector, agriculture and livestock sector, and the forestry sector, among others. The JICA team from Japan will provide technical assistance in terms of capacity building.
The formal minutes of meeting signed today will enable us to begin the process to implement this project. It goes without saying that environment and climate change is a crucial issue and one of the pillars of Japan's ODA to Papua New Guinea.
PNG's greenhouse gas technical experts will carry out data collection, preparation and reporting.
I am pleased and confident that we will be able to effectively engage with all the stakeholders to actually measure and account for all GHG that's produced in the different sectors. One thing that the Climate Change and Development Authority have been doing in the past is maintaining that stakeholder engagement, making sure that we build our capacity in the process, and with that, the JICA support will really help bolster the existing staff that we have and improve our capacity as well.
The objective of this project is to prepare and submit PNG's third national communication to fulfill its obligations to the UNFCCC Article 12. The outcome of the project will also provide relevant information required to meet other obligations under the convention. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News. Opposition leader Don Pollier is supporting schools throughout the country to charge fees to support their operations. Pollier says the tuition fee-free policy is not workable for schools both in urban and rural places. He made this statement following a circular to suspend over 30 school principals in the southern region.
With the 2017 academic year into its second week, tuition-free fee funding has left uncertainties for schools in the country. This afternoon, opposition leader Don Pollier criticized the government's TFF policy, labeling it as unrealistic.
But what has happened here is not what it should be, but what is completely confusing, irresponsible, and destructive, and what is sabotaging the schools today.
The opposition says it has a list of school principals and headmasters in the southern region who have been suspended for charging fees. Pollier believes the government is hampering children's right to education, with most schools struggling to operate.
Many principals and teachers and those people who are doing their normal duties have been suspended illegally, therefore charging fees that are necessary for them to charge, and justifiably they're charging because the government has not put in the money into their accounts as had been promised time and time again.
Golela MP William Sam is also disappointed by actions taken by the minister responsible and the education secretary.
I'd like all the teachers to mobilize the principals and seriously take the secretary, minister, and the state officers to task. You suspend these guys, we suspend and disrupt the education of our children.
The list circulated by the Education Department is only for Southern Region. The opposition says it is proper for schools to charge fees to be operational. The opposition will take legal action against the Education Department for suspending the heads of the schools.
I've talked to my lawyers to engage this, that my lawyers have this, and I will take legal action.
Jack Lapave Jr., National MTV News.
Opposition leader Don Pollier says the deferral of the 2017 Leadership Summit is a disgrace for the ruling government. Pollier says poor attendance by state ministers, department heads and senior public servants signifies the level of leadership and progress of development in the country.
This Leadership Summit was going to be the most strategic and the most important of all leadership summits. I inquired into it, why was it cancelled? Because I, as the leader of the opposition, and the opposition, the bench on the floor of parliament, are interested. Just in the same way the people of this country are interested. We have a Vision 2050. We have had Millennium Goals to achieve. We'd like to know, what have we achieved in the Millennium Goals? We'd like to know what Vision 50 objectives have been achieved or are being achieved by this period.
Koyari Park Primary School is the first in the Central Province to receive teaching and learning materials for 2017. Trade Pacific representative Ken Raga says this will provide a more active teacher-to-student learning with the education materials.
In a small but significant ceremony held at the Koyari Park Adventist Primary School, the school was presented with new teaching and learning materials to complement the school year. Each kit contains notebooks and stationery packaged according to the year levels.
In a partner in education development, we have developed the concept helping the teachers to be able to have a system in place in schools to reissue materials to the students.
According to the Board of Management Chairlady, Dr. Elisa Passy Manson, the materials were acquired through funding by the school. Last year, the school committed 25,000 kina in Term 4 for these materials to be used for the 2017 school year. The school is currently in its second week of school.
For Central, this is the first school and we have few more schools to be coming. But because of payments of, slow payments of subsidy, TFFE, this is not. Now TFFE is broken up into three components: commodity, and administration, and infrastructure. Now what we have witnessed now is the commodity component. And I've been talking to the chair lady and the new chairman. We are trying to also include the Bible in there, being a Christian school, and maybe make it a standard requirement for all the schools in Papua New Guinea.
Meanwhile, the Central Province Education Board believes schools in remote rural areas in the province are in need of such materials.
And we hope that the remote schools should be given a priority than the access schools to the city. Materials especially, and our teachers get into the remote schools is one of those weaknesses we have, but we're trying our very best and addressing them at this time.
Merlin Diaukatam, National MTV News.
National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Baroko District Court has, for the third time, adjourned the bail application hearing of an asylum seeker charged for falsifying information. This afternoon, the accused Lawman Sawari was told in court that his bail application will be heard tomorrow afternoon because the notice of service was only filed yesterday. This notice means the police prosecution has up to 72 hours to respond to the application. The case went before Magistrate Alex Kalandi.
The 21-year-old accused appeared in court from a private hospital but under police custody. Sawari's lawyer, Lohani Enau, was supposed to apply for bail on medical grounds. However, police prosecution objected to the bail application, saying the notice of service was only filed yesterday and they needed more time to prepare their objections. Police prosecution informed the courts that Sawari was receiving medical treatment without the knowledge of concerned authorities, and now rebutted that submission and told Magistrate Kalandi that Sawari was transported to a private hospital under police escort from Waigani police station, and now also told the courts that despite a request for police to escort Sawari back to the hospital yesterday, they were told there were no police officers available to assist his client. Magistrate Kalandi then questioned police prosecution on why there was no police escort provided because Sawari was still under police custody. The first adjournment came after Boroko District Court Magistrate Maristela Pinap learnt in court that the name written on Sawari's village on the information sheet was incorrect. Yesterday, police prosecution told Sawari's lawyer that there was no magistrate present to hear the bail application and certain court documents were not filed at the Boroko District Court in order for the bail application to be heard. Police alleged that Sawari used false information in July 2016 and obtained travel documents. He flew to Fiji last month using those travel documents but was deported to Port Moresby last Friday. Following the adjournment of his bail application, Sawari was taken to the Boroko police station cells where he will be remanded until his case returns to court tomorrow. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
On the same note, Registrar General Dixon Karagi said the asylum seeker Lawman Sawari must have colluded with an agent and used the old system under the name Junior Child Sawari to obtain a birth certificate. Karagi said the birth certificate issued did not match the birth and NID entry numbers. He also stated that the birth certificate did not have security features nor supported a national identification card. The blue certificate used to obtain the passport was from the old system, phased out in 2015 following a ministerial advice. Karagi made these clarifications based on the findings of a preliminary investigation. It's been 2 months and the only cancer treatment facility in the country still needs an oncologist. 25 patients who are on a waiting list have yet to undergo radiotherapy. Radiation Oncology Registrar Dr. David Kundi said cancer treatment is not complete without radiotherapy. While the 25 wait, another patient, Winnie Solian, who has been treated with radiotherapy, is now seeking treatment overseas.
Winnie Solian's husband Jerry had decided to seek medical treatment overseas after Winnie could not undergo another radiotherapy treatment at Engau without an oncologist and CT scan. Winnie was referred from the Port Moresby General Hospital to the cancer facility here at Engau Hospital for further treatment. She had stage 2B of cervical cancer when she came to lay, and she started a radiotherapy treatment on the 4th of January this year.
I consulted our surgeons to review her and then see what sort of condition might cause that. We're suspecting spread of the cancer, which might involve other structures of the lymph nodes that are close to the bowel or the intestines, which may...
The doctors suspected that the cancer cells may have spread but were not able to investigate further as there were no CT scans. After consultation with the doctors, her family decided to seek medical treatment overseas. While Winnie has flown back to Port Moresby, the other 25 patients currently admitted at the cancer facility are still waiting to undergo radiotherapy.
We could not proceed on with proper investigations that are required, like CT scans, because we don't have it available here.
They will have to wait until a new oncologist is appointed. The unit has been operating without an oncologist for 2 months.
So we definitely need an oncologist here on ground, especially one that can operate the radiotherapy machine, a radiation oncologist.
The matter has received high-level attention. Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil, in an interview, said the treatment of cancer is an ongoing issue in PNG for many years.
Not only cancer, we got many other issues involving kidney, liver, lungs, heart. We don't have those specialists in Papua New Guinea. This is the 21st century. Papua New Guinea.
Matalubis, National EMTV News, Ley.
Lay taxpayers continue to voice concerns about the lack of attention given to the Uni Gate to Bumayong stretch of the Independence Drive, which has remained unsealed for 25 years. Local residents blame the indecisiveness and lack of foresight of successive provincial and national governments, saying the short stretch should have been fixed years ago. This follows numerous complaints by Lay residents over the lack of attention to suburban roads.
The Unigate to Bumayong stretch of the Independence Drive has remained unsealed for at least 25 years. It is a short stretch, but even after numerous complaints and promises over the last 4 years, nothing has been done to seal it or build a concrete road. A few kilometers from the university entrance, there is the Igam Road. Concrete pavement, drainage, walkways and solar lighting. This road was completed just days before the start of the PNG Games in 2013. The job, according to contractor JV PNG, was completed ahead of schedule. Now it's left taxpayers wondering why the main road hasn't been fixed for over 2 decades.
Something look good, road stuff close to straight, Unitech, University of Technology, where big university in the country. Look good too much, visitors will come around Lolei City.
A few kilometers up the Independence Drive, the absurdity is demonstrated yet again. A 1 kilometer stretch from the main road to the Telecom College, a perfect drive on concrete. The main road, an embarrassing dust bowl. Last year, the Provincial Works Department said contracts would be awarded for this stretch.
Take some road people workman, straight road.
This is just part of a bigger problem, the lack of attention to roads outside the main city centre. In East Taraka, long-time residents continue to express anger over the lack of attention to suburban roads.
This East Taraka population and also plenty of people, more than almost 1,000 clear to mass but 1,000. But now in police barracks too, stop now, overpopulated, now man Mary Olkisim block too.
Me own him career, me run those slab, road here. Me pay him slab, insurance fee, me pay him registration fee, or something. People money, people are paying. But the road condition is really bad.
Just days ago, the city manager Roy Kamen explained that the city council doesn't have the money to build roads because funding has been drastically cut. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Ley.
Hengenofi MP Robert Atiafa has called on the national government to allocate sections of the Highlands Highway for provincial governments and district authorities to maintain. It comes when the Okuk Highway, the country's biggest economic corridor, deteriorates in crucial sections from Ley to the Highlands region. The Kasampa section needs urgent maintenance. Bethan Herman with this report.
The Kasampa section of the Okuk Highway is a climb from Morobe's Makam Valley into the Eastern Highlands. In recent years, the road has deteriorated into an appalling state. Public transport and highway trucks have to maneuver large cracks and potholes. Sometimes landslides can stop traffic and disrupt businesses, costing the loss of millions of kina.
Drainage system was very clean. People were working every day on the roads. But now you can't see anyone working on it. We've done away with works and supply. The works, camps along the highway have closed. What's next? Now, as a result, we are facing all this problem.
Hanganofi MP Robert Atiafa, who was once a premier and later a senior bureaucrat in the Eastern Highlands Provincial Works Department, says when works camps stopped, the roads were neglected. Every year, the national government allocates funds to cater for maintenance. But how contractors tasked to do that job spend that money is something the police minister wants to know.
And every year, over the last 5 years, I remember our government has budgeted about 100 million for the Highlands Highway. Whether or not that money has been put to good use is something else, so to speak. My personal view is that the national government should allocate funding to provinces who share the Highlands Highway. For example, let Eastern Highlands get its share of the money, and we maintain through the Provincial Works Unit or through the DDAs.
Some sections of the Highlands Highway has been maintained by contractors, but because of the weather and the amount of heavy vehicles using the road, the onslaught has taken its toll. The Highlands Highway is a backbone of the economy. Mining projects, coffee exports rely heavily on its condition. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
Despite the challenges facing the manufacturing industry in the country, the lack of foreign exchange being a major issue, industry players are still quite optimistic. With a glass half full view of the country's economic situation, Steel Industries Chairman Frank McCoyd claims that the market is still big enough to grow.
Perhaps the companies most affected by the ongoing lack of foreign currency in the country are companies in the manufacturing industry. Without the means to pay their international suppliers, many have resorted to laying off workers in a bid to keep business afloat. Most have been vocal about the issues they have been facing and continue to appeal to the government for a resolve. However, through this ordeal, there have been some companies who have benefited from this. Companies such as Steel Industries have seen an increase in their business, notably because many companies have switched from importing steel internationally to buying locally because it is cheaper and they deal with PNG Kina.
That's being modified slightly just due to the lack of foreign exchange. And the two of us share an experience of increased demand just because we have clients that don't want to go through the hassle of getting the foreign exchange. And they know when they come to our companies, they can pay for their product in PNG Kina.
According to Mr. McCoyd, 20% of the country's metal trades industry is produced locally, while the remaining 60% is imported. And if locally produced steel's percentage was bigger, the market could grow by 5%.
Well, because we have about 20% of the national market being produced domestically. So now we know that that is not going to happen, but certainly a growth of 15 or 20% is well within the scope, within the demand that we currently have.
Leanne Jarari, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina opened unchanged at $0.3150 in the interbank markets. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3075, $0.3995 Australian dollars, €0.285 euro and 34.12 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee, cocoa and copra closed lower, gold closed the day higher. Palm oil and crude oil closed higher, while copper closed the day unchanged. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 35.95 points lower, the ASX is trading at 4.44 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 14.34 points higher. More local and international news when we come back. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. A primary school in Lae is yet to receive its teaching and learning materials from the company contracted by the government to distribute school materials. The school has not received anything since 2015. The government allocated 30% from the total tuition fee-free funds to the company for the distribution of materials to schools throughout the country. The other 30% for infrastructure is supposedly deposited into district accounts, while 40% for administration is deposited directly to school accounts. Julie Badiwe with this report.
This is Taraka Primary School in Lae with a population of more than 1,000 students. The tuition fee-free policy has given the privilege to all students to attend school. However, there are limitations in terms of availability of space and learning materials. A grade 8 teacher of Taraka Primary School, Justina Kumasi, finds it very difficult to impart quality education to these grade 8 students without the availability of textbooks and teachers' aids.
Most students are enrolled in a school where the learning and teaching resources is limited for them.
Teaching has become difficult due to the influx of students. Few schools in Lae, such as Christ the King Primary and Busu Secondary School, are yet to receive their outstanding 60% component of TFF from last year and this year's full TFF payments. The head teacher for Taraka Primary School, Thomas Bohani, says the TFF policy is good, but it still needs improvement.
The room is insufficient, inadequate. We can. Not only that, the spacing, but the supervision, the teachers are not teaching properly. As a teacher, I have to visit individual child. That is not happening. It's just sort of a lecture type where like the universities or colleges.
The government has given equal opportunity of education to all children with the TFF policy. However, schools are still facing challenges in terms of infrastructure and teaching and learning materials. Should the TFF policy be reviewed? Is the policy working for the country? These are few of the questions many teachers, head teachers and parents would ask. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
Concerns have been raised on medical drugs sold illegally by shops in Arawa town. Fabian Hakales visited several shops today and reported that antibiotics and antimalarials are sold without any formal licenses. A clinical staff at the Arawa hospital also confirmed seeing medicine on the shelves of certain shopping outlets. The autonomous Bougainville Government Health Department has been called on to investigate this matter and stop the shops from continuing this practice. British Prime Minister Theresa May won approval from Parliament's House of Commons on Wednesday to trigger Britain's exit from the European Union. Their overwhelming victory defeats attempts by pro-EU lawmakers to attach extra conditions to her plan to start divorce talks by March 31st.
No amendments were passed. Perhaps the one that got most scrutiny and most interest was the call for parliamentary oversight. On this one, the government seems to have potentially dodged a bullet by saying, yes, Parliament can get a vote at the end of the negotiations with the European Union before the final handshake in Brussels. However, it was later revealed that the government's position on that was Parliament can vote against the agreement that the government is able to get, but the alternative is not going back to continue negotiations. The alternative is nothing. So it seems unlikely anyone will do that. That caused some disappointment along the way. But when it came, this vote, very much as expected.
The ayes to the right, 494. The noes to the left, 122. The ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Almost a moment of merriment there where the Deputy Speaker almost calls it wrong, but 494 to 122. The government getting what it wants handily, timely in the way that it expected it as well. And now it goes to the House of Lords. In the House of Lords, they'll do the same thing, first reading, second reading, third reading, a vote. If they pass it with no amendments, then this bill can become law. However, if, and it's not really expected, but if there are amendments in the House of Lords, it comes back to the House of Commons again. They vote on it again. They can make other changes as well on top of that. It could ping-pong around for a while.
Many refugee families in the U.S. have found themselves stuck in legal limbo with the ongoing debate over U.S. President Donald Trump's travel ban. The following is an account from a mother of one and wife to a man who has never seen his child. This young family had their hopes high and low as the executive order settlement were constantly under debate.
If he was told his wife was not coming or his daughter was not coming, how would he feel? I want him to think of that.
But then, a 180. A federal judge suspended the ban and gave new hope to Nemo Hashi. Her husband's travel to the U.S. was back on. Refugees began to trickle back into Utah days ago, greeted by hundreds of cheering Salt Lake City residents. Even Utah's Republican governor Instagrammed their arrival, saying, "We welcome Utah's newest pioneers."
How is the refugee program working for your state and its citizens here?
Very well.
Republican Governor Gary Herbert breaks ranks with fellow Republicans on the executive order. He supports the president's right to review immigration policy. But from the governor's vantage point,
refugees, as I look at them, are people running away from bad circumstances. We've had some of that in our own culture. Maybe that makes us a little more sensitive to this issue, maybe a little bit more empathetic because of our own history in Utah.
American airline and their flight.
Written in erasable ink on this whiteboard, the name Abdusalam Ahmed. That's Nemo Hashi's husband. He's now scheduled to arrive on Friday when he will meet his daughter for the very first time in person.
Chukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The SPPNG Hunters will play 11 home matches at the National Football Stadium this season. This is according to the updated match schedule done up by the Queensland Rugby League.
The Hunters' first home match will be against East Tigers in round 2 on the 12th of March. East Tigers have only played once at the National Football Stadium and are quite familiar with the pitch. In round 4, they face Notts Devils at 3 p.m. on the 26th of March. Thompson Tete will fly up with his new team, Redcliffe Dolphins, when they face the Hunters on the 16th of April at the NFS. The next big game the Hunters will host is against rivals Townsville Blackhawks in round 12. Also, another big match will be against the Burleigh Bears. Kumul's forward Luke Page will lead his team to go up against the might of the Hunters in round 18. The Interest Super Cup round number 1 matches are set to start on the 4th of March. The Hunters' first match will be against CQ Cappers at Brown Park. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Surfers and people attending the 2017 World Longboard Surfing Championship in Tupira next month will treat themselves to a great range of snacks and drinks throughout the duration of the tournament, courtesy of Paradise Beverages through Mountain Dew. Sponsorship of 100,000 kina was presented to the Surfing Association of PNG to help boost the support needed for the successful staging of this global event.
The World Longboard Surfing Tournament is attracting local businesses' interest on supporting the event. Paradise Beverages, through Mountain Dew brand, has thrown in a sponsorship package of 100,000 along with other products. Apart from the actual competition, the Mountain Dew Expression Session round will be held during the tournament, in which the children of Tupira will compete against the world's best longboards on cutout traditional style boards. There will be other exciting activities apart from riding the waves. A display of traditional board shaping using local balsa wood by 2 world-renowned board shapers. Meanwhile, the preparation on the ground has been up to speed and is expected to be completed at the end of this month, along with the shipment of surfboards and necessary food supply to the tournament site. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
Hikari owner John Capinato has publicly announced his proposed football association, Football Federation PNG. The proposed association is looking at an expensive program of development targeting all parts of Papua New Guinea. His announcement comes off the back of his recent referral to the OFC Ethics Committee. Maria Sharapova has been invited to play at the Madrid Open in May, 2 weeks after her 15-month doping ban expires. The event is scheduled to be her second comeback after her suspension. Sharapova hasn't played on tour since testing positive for meldonium at the 2016 Australian Open. However, her initial 2-year ban by the International Tennis Federation was reduced to 15 months by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The former world #1 and 5-time Grand Slam winner has been given a wild card for the Spanish event, which begins on May 5. Event director Manolo Santana said Sharapova requested an invitation to play and is one of the best players of the last 15 years who is also a past winner of the tournament. And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, some showers in all centers. Mombasa region expecting some showers in all centers. In the New Guinea Islands region, some showers expected in all centers. And in the Highlands region, some showers in all centers. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Strong wind warning current to all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerema, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Milne Bay Islands. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerema, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samaria Island, and with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas of 2.23 meters. Waters northwest of Samaria Island to Cape Vogel. Waters northwest of Samaria Island to Cape Vogel to Finchhafen, and with waters of New Ireland to New Britain, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Finchhafen through Vitia Strait, CSE Islands to Long Island, and with waters of Long Island to Midang, to Bogia to Wewak, to Aitape to Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Bougainville to Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas rough with northwest to southwest winds at 25 to 34 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas moderate with northwest winds from 15 to 25 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas moderate with northwest winds at 15 to 25 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. 5th APEC security meeting underway in Port Moresby. Bleak future for iconic Ela Beach trees, and only cancer treatment center still in need of an oncologist. And that's been the news, sports and weather for tonight. On behalf of the entire EMTV news team, I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.